Hey guys, Yips here coming at you with another video, and today I want to take a little bit of time to talk about the specs in 9.1 for Warlock. Warlock has received a lot of changes on the 9.1 PTR, and there could still be more changes to come. We are still a bit a ways from the 9.1 release. I expect sometime early or mid to late July for the raid release. I highly doubt we'll get it when Burning Crusade launches in June. So Burning Crusade comes out on the 1st of June. I expect this month to just be a Burning Crusade month for most players. And then in July, 9.1 should come out and we'll be raiding through August. So still time for some things to change on the PTR, but I think we have a pretty good idea of how things will look for Warlock come the raid release. So let's talk about the specs. All three Warlock specs will be good in 9.1. So whether you play Affliction, whether you play Demonology, whether you play Destro, if you want to continue playing those specs and you're not in a top 50, top 20 guild in the world, you are going to be just fine. Affliction still does good single target, Destro does good single target, Demonology does good single target. They all have the ability to cleave, they all have really good damage profiles, they all play Warlock, they all have curses. They're going to be useful and they're going to be good. So no matter what you play, you will be able to utilize it in the upcoming and next raid tier. However, if you are looking to min-max a little bit, I'll talk a little bit more in depth. So first let's start with Affliction and sort of what happened in 9.1 for AF. 9.1 in AF, we saw a big nerf to Malefic Rupture, a flat 18% coming off of it, and then also with the changes to the potency conduit that increased its damage when we had unstable affliction on the target, the focus malignancy basically getting cut in half, and also losing either shadowy embrace or haunt on single target is definitely going to be a big factor in our malefic raptures hitting a lot less. To compensate, Dark Lair is now on a 2-minute cooldown instead of a 3-minute cooldown, which is an extremely nice quality of life change in order for it to line up with our Dark Soul. Every 2 minutes we'll have that nice Dark Soul Dark Lair burst window with our Soul Rot. It'll work really nice for Affliction. That being said, with these changes and with these nerfs to Malefic Rupture and only the small buffs to our dots for single target, Affliction definitely took a bit of a hit and will no longer be the top Warlock spec for single target or even two target. The other Warlock specs will be better. However, AF will be one of the best multi-dot cleavers in the game. With the new Legendary being buffed, well, I suppose it's not a new legendary, but with Wrath of Consumption being buffed to where Agony and Corruption give you the periodic damage, and you're getting 30% more damage on your damage over time effects, if you're able to stack this up and you're able to have a lot of targets to dot, you are going to be doing some of the most cleave damage out of any spec in the game on multiple targets. So AF is in a really good place for cleave multi-dotting, which is what it really should be, right? AF should be a cleave multi-dotting spec. I would like it to receive some quality of life changes on single target if we are going to have to use the Malefic Wrath legendary. It would be really nice if instead of 10 seconds, this thing lasted 12, 14 seconds, just so it was a little bit more forgiving to keep up and played a little bit better for AF. However, AF on multi-target with things like Wrath of Consumption, still running Relic of Demonic Synergy, is going to be an extremely good spec if ever there is a situation where you need to cleave on multiple targets, more than two. In the new raid, this scenario does not happen, which means that AF doesn't really have that sort of power that it does or is able to perform at, but that doesn't mean AF is a bad spec. AF is still very good, it just needs the right moment to shine. So look for AF to be really good maybe in the following raid tier if there are bosses that are like that, or maybe in some scenarios in Mythic Plus Dungeons it could be really strong, especially with the Sow the Seas change. We'll have to see about that, but overall AF will still be a very good spec come 9.1, and if you want to play it on single target, it's only a little bit behind the other specs. If you want to play it on two target, it's only a little bit behind Destro. It's still going to be solid. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about Demonology. So Demonology, currently extremely good on single target, and that's going to stay the same moving into 9.1. With the changes to where your Summon Demonic Tyrant is now going to get the damage benefit from your Dread Bites, and you're going to be able to stack some more modifiers with it, Demonology is going to be the spec that you want to play on fights that are single target or have kind of a mosh pit of cleave on single target. What I mean by that is imagine a boss like Stone Legion Generals without Goliaths and just having the little ads spawning. You can be targeting the boss, cleaving off the boss and all of those little ads under it. They get cleaved down very fast by melee, and Demonology is able to just generate passive cleave while focusing your single target on the boss. Very, very good spec coming up. It has a passive DR baked into it, means that Demonology is very tanky with Soul Link. So Demonology, very, very good spec upcoming in 9.1, will be used on some bosses by some warlocks in top guilds for sure. So if you enjoy Demonology, it's going to be a good tier to whip it out. It's going to be a good tier to play it on a bunch of bosses. Its single target is one of the highest in the game. However, if you don't like Demonology and you're kind of an Affliction Destro fanboy for Warlock, Destro is pretty much going to be great on every single boss in the upcoming raid tier. It's going to be the go-to spec for Warlocks if you are playing Warlock at a competitive level in the new raid. It does amazing single target. It has really good two target cleave. It has a great damage profile. It's always able to do good damage to priority targets with Havoc. It has amazing legendaries that offer so much utility. It is going to be a very good spec in the upcoming raid tier. Shadowburn being buffed is a really cool quality of life change on any sort of fight where you're able to snipe mobs with Shadowburn. It does a lot of damage. Whether or not it'll be used in the raid tier, not sure, but it's nice to see that Blizzard did buff the ability by over 20% to make this an actual usable ability, and it's going to be really fun pressing Shadowburn and hitting really hard on a short cooldown ability again. So Destro in the next raid tier, 2-target king, going to be very good at focusing down periodic spawning ads with Havoc, has an amazing 3-minute cooldown that can be reduced with Wilfred's in the Summon Infernal. Good spec overall, expect to play it in the up and coming raid tier. So Destro and Demonology are going to be the go-to specs for the up-and-coming raid tier. Whether you want to just play Demonology the whole time, it'll probably be okay. Most Warlocks are going to be going Destro on the majority of bosses in the new raid tier because it has good single target and excellent cleave and is one of the most unique damage profiles of any class in the game with that Havoc. Destro has always been a good progression spec. It will continue to be a good progression spec, and expect to be playing it in the up-and-coming raid tier. Now, in terms of legendaries and things we're going to be using, Cinders is by far the best destruction legendary. If you want to craft one and you want to go with it, I would highly recommend crafting it on the legs. The back slot is going to have domination sockets and different sockets we've seen on the PTR, so it's not really the best place to be crafting this thing. Legs give more stats anyways. There aren't any higher item level than normal legs from the raid tier. If you want to craft this, craft it on your legs. It's an extremely good legendary. More conflag charges means more mobility, as well as reduced charge time, again, more mobility, and just having more of these in order to feed into your backdrafts is going to be really strong. These other legendaries are also very good. Madness of the Aj Akir, very strong, more Chaos Bolt damage. Wilfred's pretty niche legendary, reduces the cooldown on your Summon Infernal. This legendary can be extremely good on fights where you need a lower Infernal cooldown for specific windows. Anytime on a boss fight that you're fighting it and something is spawning every, say, 2 minutes instead of 3 minutes, and you really need that extra damage, Wilfred's could come and be a very key player in that. 2-target priority cleave, Odir could be something that we use. I doubt it, but Cinders, Madness, Wilfred's, all going to be very strong legendaries for Destro. For Demonology, Grim Inquisitor's Dreadcalling, going to be very good. Wilfred's, also very good. And for Malefic Rapture, Wrath of Consumption, Demonic Synergy, Warlock has a lot of options. Now, in terms of what legendaries you're going to be crafting on what slot, I would wait a little bit until they give us more information on domination sockets. So save up your Soul Ash, craft the basic ones that are good for now if you need them, and when the new patch comes out, when we get more information on domination sockets, then I would say go ahead, craft what legendary you need for the upcoming 9.1 raid. So hopefully this gives you guys some information on the specs in 9.1 raid release. Warlock will be exceptionally good. I'll definitely be playing it, and I will make more content in the future. Thanks for watching.